Men Hurt 2 Conference, Saturday, July 19th, 10:30 a.m. Home 2 Suites by Hilton Fairview Allen 290 Murray Farm Road, Fairview, Texas. Come share in this safe space experience for men. Guest speakers, host Joseph B. Roberts, Hilton Young, T.C. Alexander Jr., keynote speaker Dr. Marvin Cotton Jr., Minister Stephanie M. Seaton. Tickets on Eventbrite, vendor space available for men-owned businesses.
Thank you for tuning in. A live stream new episode of the Stephanie M. Seaton Sunday Show will be starting soon. With your host, minister, and author Stephanie M. Seaton. If you would like to be a guest on the Stephanie M. Seaton Sunday Show, email Stephanie at stephaniemseatontheauthor@gmail.com.
All right. Welcome to another special episode of the Stephanie M. Seaton Sunday Show. Tonight, we have two amazing guests with us. Tonight is all about the Men Hurt 2 Conference. Tonight, we have got our amazing special keynote speaker with us, Dr. Marvin Cotton, and we have got the conference host, none other than Mr. Joseph B. Roberts. Can you welcome?
All right.
Thank you guys for being here tonight. I've had the pleasure of interviewing both of you on the platform. Very happy to have you guys here tonight. We are doing something, I don't know that it's ever been done before. I'm sure that there have been many men's conferences all over the world, but I don't know how many have actually been centered around men and pain and hurting, and men actually healing. Have y'all heard of many with that specific thing?
No, not at all.
No, not specific to that. I mean, as you stated, there are a variety of wonderful men's conferences that have taken place, and I've had the pleasure of attending a few of them. And but we are, as you stated, we are trying to be very intentional, very deliberate in terms of really getting down to the core of men and the pain and the hurts and the trauma and the like that we deal with, but don't oftentimes have that safe space to talk about. And so that's what, as you said, one of many things that's going to stand out about this conference is just the direct approach to it all, and of course, making sure that we don't exclude the relevance of a relationship with Christ, being in the process of going through that pain process and dealing with it all. So very multifaceted, very involved, intimate, but at the same time, very comprehensive, in terms of our approach and what we're trying to accomplish. So yeah, it's going to be exciting, and I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, me too. We've been talking a lot about this conference, but I'm still in awe that I'm one of the people even putting on the conference. I've talked to you, Dr. Marvin, about it, and Joseph, you and I have talked about it. And Joseph was like, because I told Joseph, I was like, Joseph, I know I'm the visionary behind the conference. And I was like, but I really don't want to be a part of the conference because this is about men, and I'm still like, I don't even know why the Lord got me doing this. But Joseph was like, well, I think you should say something, because, the Lord gave you the vision. And I said, yeah. I said, okay, well, I'm going to say something. But I still want the moment to be about men. And I don't say that, I say it jokingly, but I don't say it lightly. And the reason I say it like that is because I'm the woman who's had 3 failed marriages. I'm the woman who didn't have my father in the house. I'm the woman who's had all these bad experiences with men. And so for the Lord now to use me to care about men and their feelings and their emotions, it's just like, the Lord would do something out of the box. You know what I mean? because I can definitely remember a time where I could care less how a man felt, and especially a Black man, because I've had so many bad experiences dealing with men, and especially Black men. But yet clearly, maybe about a year ago, I clearly heard the Lord tell me in one of my temper tantrums, men hurt too. And I was sitting there trying to justify how I was only going to minister to women. I was only going to minister my way and do things how I wanted to do them. And I clearly heard the Lord tell me, like, that's not how it works. Like, you can't pick and choose who you want to minister to when you want to minister. Like, if you accept the call, then you accept how I want you to minister. And that's how the title of the conference, Men Hurt Too, came about. It was about me surrendering that, you know what, I'm going to have to do it his way. And he literally said, Men hurt too. When he started showing me the hearts of the men, and not just the men abroad, but also the men that hurt me, the men that played a part in my life. And he showed me the men, just like he showed me my parents and people in life in general, but he showed me those little boys. He showed me those people behind the stuff and behind the things. And so that's kind of how we got to this part. I think if we all get to a point that we start to look at each other as those hurt people, those hurt little girls, the hurt little boys, on this platform, we talk a lot about healing, empowerment, and transformation. And the reality of it is, I know that you, Joseph, I know, and I know, Dr. Marvin, that all started in childhood, right? So the core of this conference and us helping these men and these young boys, these teenagers that will be at the conference to get to a point of healing is we have to go all the way back, right? Mm-hmm. And we have to speak to those little boys. And we have to speak messages to those little boys and take it all the way back up. What do you guys say to that?
Wow, that's a lot. Appreciate you definitely being so open about it. A really good friend of mine, Glenn Martin, he said that those that's closest to the problem are also closest to the solution. So you being so up close and personal and witnessing men hurting and spilling over the relationship that you shared, you've seen the problems, which means you're close enough to see the solutions as well. This being a men's conference doesn't mean that it doesn't need the support of women. Mm-hmm. It absolutely needs the support of women. Just like women issues need the support of men. Right. We don't lead in women issues. Women lead in women issues. We support. And with this conference, clearly it would not have happened if you had not proposed and pushed and pulled and start tying things together in order to make it happen. So we need that from our women. Women are natural nurturers. God put something, a slice of something in women that he did not put in men. And in order for us to go through our healing process, we have to tap into some of that in order to put that medicine on us. We're still responsible for our own healing, and we're gonna go into that in the conference. That's why it's important to be there. But the support of our women, the women in the community, the women in our family, the women in our homes, is absolutely necessary in order to push not only the conversation forward. When I got bit by a spider or something yesterday, and my finger is swole up, and all I know how to do is just deal with the pain. But when I mentioned it, my wife, she immediately knew what to do, and she started getting stuff to make it feel better. Yeah. So that it goes through a process so that I can get through it easier and faster. That's good. That's good. Yeah. And with us, we've learned from childhood that don't cry. Don't complain. Don't say nothing. You're talking about your feelings. You being emotional. So that's drilled in us from childhood as little boys, as babies. Wow. We don't even let male babies cry. They don't even have the emotional capacity to really process a lot of the experiences that they have. And crying is a natural way of showing that I'm frustrated and I don't know what to do. And we drill in our little boys that they can't even cry. So we learn these behaviors, and as grown men, we have conversations around each other, and we having very serious conversations. Man, we talk about our wives and our relationships when we together. We talk about money and making moves and advancing our family forward. These are the conversations that take place amongst real men, but you don't see tears in those conversations.
Yeah.
Even when we're going through things. A really good friend of mine, and that's only because he's in this type of work. I met him out, and we were outside of a restaurant that we was getting ready to go into. It was at nighttime, and we were on the side street, downtown Detroit. And, you know, he's having some things going on in his marriage that had him like frustrated. He didn't know what to do. He's very intelligent. He's trauma informed. He knows all the things that a person would need to know to put themselves in the very best position. But he was just in a space in this relationship, and it was hurting him, and he didn't know what to do, and he cried, But that's because he knows that it's okay for him to cry. It's okay for him to ask his friend, his brother, like, hey, I'm going through something, and I don't know what to do. And oftentimes that's where it should start in the relationships with our friends and our brothers in circles of men sometimes. And we're not comfortable enough to do that. We're not comfortable enough sometimes to just come to the table and say, hey, things ain't right at home and I don't know what to do and I need some help, bro. Can you help me? I need some advice. Like, what do you do? What would you do? Do you have anybody else that can like speak to this situation that I'm going through? And as a society, we have to get men closer to that.
Yeah. You said you said a lot of really big nuggets in what you said.
Hopefully it made sense. I kind of talked for a long time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it made a lot of sense. I was visualizing what you were saying as you said it. And Joseph, I know you picked it up too. You said as a man, you took the spider bite, because that's what you do as a man. You got bit by the spider. You just didn't think much about it because you're used to enduring the pain. You just went on with it. And you mentioned it to your wife. That's where she took it. And what she pretty much got from it was how to fix it, how to get to the healing process. Because you've been taught to just take the hurt, take the pain, take the hit, take the bite, and move on. And that is so true because, we've said it so many times, even on My Brother's Keeper podcast. We've talked about it so many times that men are told from young age when things happen that men don't cry.
Yeah.
And then when men become angry and then they become violent or, whatever, then it's, then they become monsters, because they weren't able to express things. So,
and you got to remember those principles that were drilled in us as babies came from people that loved us and we loved them.
That's the sad part.
But that allows it to get even deeper.
Yeah.
Because we don't have any guard up when it's being drilled in, because it's coming from people that we trust and people that we love. It's coming from our mothers, our fathers, our aunties, our older siblings. It's coming from people in the community, and it's reinforced in our friend groups. That that behavior that you were taught is the right behavior that you should be exhibiting. You shouldn't be crying out here. What's wrong with you? Pull it together.
Yeah, it's generational, and then it starts to affect us in our lives, and then we have to unlearn those behaviors. Yes.
And just to be clear, we're not calling men to the conference to have a cry fest.
No.
but if that's where you at with it, that's what it is. But we do want men to understand how we have arrived where we're at, and if we envision ourselves ever being a better version of who we are, a greater version of who we are, we have to begin to address some of these things that's been put in us, some of these principles that we're standing on, but it's really ruining us. And we're having an impact on our children, and we're having an impact on the community. We can look at the world and tell that things are imbalanced.
Yeah.
We don't want to follow the path of God.
Yeah.
And we don't want to flow with our nature in that same direction. We want to add all of these other things that doesn't make any sense at all, and it's ruining our families. It's tearing up our communities. It has this country looking really crazy because we don't want to really address some of this stuff. So we want to unpack it at the conference. We want to unpack some of these things to give men and even women that support them. We want to give them something to think about, some solutions that they can implement into their lives to make their lives better. We want to address some of this stuff. We want to unpack it.
Yeah, that sounds good. Joseph, jump in there. I know you got a lot to say. Tell us.
Well, again, Dr. Marvin, has hit a lot of key points that I'm kind of playing out in my head as well. Kind of going back to, the component of all of this where, you, Stephanie, as the visionary in this conference, questioning, what is my, what is my place in this? How involved should I be or not be? And I want to just reiterate that, again, as Dr. Marvin alluded to, is the fact that, God gave you this vision for a reason, because, the reality is that while we understand that men need to be a part of an experience like this, and even if one of us on our own had come up, with the vision to put it together, because of that nurturing spirit that we spoke about earlier, that resides within women, that doesn't necessarily always reside in us as men, it needed to be headed up, by a woman. And you needed to be the catalyst to get it started. And the truth be, and it couldn't have, and here's another piece of it too, is that it couldn't just be any woman. It had to be a woman of a certain standard, a certain grace, a certain experience. And so when you talked about, as you shared so openly earlier, like, why would God pick me to do this, knowing that I've had my own, as a woman, I've had my own traumas dealing with men. Why would he take when I think about the dark experiences of my life, right, many of those experiences have involved men. So why would he take those dark experiences and use it for me to have the audacity to host an event that's about pouring into men, when on many occasions I felt like there were men who were close to me that I was bonded with that didn't pour into me the way I thought that they should. And I say to that that's no accident. I say to that that's how God moves. He takes our darkest, craziest, most outlandish moments and storms of life, and he has a way of using those experiences to flip that thing around and allow us to be a blessing to other people. That's why it's so important for us to understand that when we're going through our storms of life, that a lot of times, while we might be in our fleshly feelings about why we're going through what we're going through, most times, I would say at least half, but probably even more than that, the storm, the trauma, the experience that you going through, whatever that experience is, it was never about you to begin with. But God had specifically identified you as, you're going to be the one that goes through it, but you're going through it not because I'm mad at you, not because I'm out to get you to make your life miserable. I'm setting you up. I'm positioning you for something that you haven't encountered just yet. It may be days, weeks, months, or even years down the road, that experience that happened back in 19 this or 2000 that is going to resurface, but it's going to resurface this time in a positive light. The speakers that we're going to have at this event, and we're not going to give it away for those who are tuning in, but Dr. Cotton is going to share a dark time that when he was going through it, it wasn't exciting and enjoyable and put a smile on his face on a day-to-day basis. And I'm sure in the moment of him going through it, he had no idea that a day would come
like this,
where that experience would be flipped around, and he'd be sharing it not with hurt, not with embarrassment, not with shame, but with the intent on being a blessing to those who are going to be within earshot of him on July 19th to get to hear this story and be like, oh my God, you know, but you know, my friend Tim, who's going to be speaking on the panel, Tim Jones, again, I'm not going to give it away, but he has a powerful story that when you hear it, and I can guarantee you, because I've known him for over 40 years, when he was going through it, it didn't feel good. It wasn't where he thought he would ever be. But because he's now at a point in life where he can take that story that he was once felt shame, felt embarrassment, felt humiliation, felt pain and suffering from, he can now share, just as our other speakers, just as our other, and just men in the room who, just because of their presence, you know, I'm already believing that, you know, God is going to move in that space where somebody is going to get the courage to, even if it's just for a few moments, to release something that they've never released before, but because of the safeness of the space that they're in, and the absence of judgment in that room, they're going to, for the first time ever, be able to get something off their chest and feel some freedom, some relief in it all. So again, you being a part of this is by no means an accident. And in fact, you know, just to our listeners, please understand that a big portion of this men's conference even being able to be pulled off is going to be triggered by women. And what I mean by that is, again, we come into a situation like this where we're tough, we're hard, we don't, you know, I'm hearing about, I may be tuning in right now, or I might have seen some social media posts about this men's conference, and it may sound like it's okay, you know, it might be cool, but I'm not really feeling that. And guess what? There's going to be some men who are speaking that right now, but if they have a woman in their life, whether that woman is a spouse, significant other, sister, or just a, you know, a mom, or just a good friend, is going to be the nudge that they need to say, you going to this, and you going to this because I care enough about you to make sure that you take the time out to go, you know. So somebody is going to, you know, and if you hadn't thought about this out, we got Father's Day coming up. You want to bless a father
with a ticket. Yeah,
ladies, buy him a ticket. Not because we're trying to pump profit. We're trying to change lives. Yeah, we're trying to impact. You want to give somebody a for real gift. You don't know what to get. You know, get that special man in your life an opportunity to experience something for a few hours on a Saturday morning this summer, to hang out with other men who understand what it means to go through life, as we talked about, from a very young age, being made to feel ashamed, embarrassed, you know, restricted, if you will, from being able to open up and be transparent and be vulnerable, to reveal that, I hurt too, to reveal that, you know, I feel pain too, and actually be in a space where it's okay to do that, and not, like I said, not feel that judgment, that embarrassment, that humiliation, because they're amongst other brothers who understand, you know, that this is a real thing. So again, ladies, you know, whether you want to believe it or not, it's a men's conference, but for that conference to be a success, and when I say success, I mean for it to be populated with the men that need to be there. That's right. You are a very critical piece. I'm not known of a men's conference yet that I've been a part of, you know, or known of, that the female presence wasn't necessary just to make sure that the room was filled to the level of capacity that God has predetermined that for this particular space, for this moment in time, these are the men that need to be there by any means necessary, need to be there. Somebody got to drive them there. Somebody got to, you know, sponsor them a ticket. Somebody got to, you know, this is one of them times where it's okay to nag him to get there, because nag him not because you're trying to get on his nerves, but nagging him because you care. You know, you understand, you know. Dr. Cotton talked about earlier, I hurt myself earlier. I got bitten. I'm trying to be tough. Wife is looking at you like, I know this hurt. You can front all you want to. I know this hurt. And it was funny you were telling that story, because I've been like having this pain in my leg the last few days, and doing what men do. I'm toughing it out. And I bring it up, you know. And my wife is, you know, trying to tap in on the compassionate side, but she's also trying to tap in on the common sense side. She's like, why would you sit there and be hurting for the last several days? You done took a couple of pills and ain't gone away. You have insurance. All you got to do is go get it checked out. It could be anything. It could be serious, it could be minor, but that's the whole thing. We get into that mode. I'll be all right. I'll be all right.
Right. Well, statistically, men live longer when they're married, and that's because our pain is not ignored. So when we're going through something, it's not ignored, which shows you that if pain or hurt is ignored, it can do more damage. But if it's addressed, then you can go farther.
Absolutely.
You know, my wife, I travel a lot because I work and I speak all over the country. And you know, she don't like me traveling so much, but she loves when I'm going to a retreat or something where she know I'm going to receive some sort of therapeutic environment and conversation and group. She love it. She sends me off to go participate in things like this conference right here. Although I'm going to be speaking at it, she's excited that I'm going to be there in the room, and other men are going to be able to hear from everybody that's going to be speaking and learn from everybody, and hopefully address some things that they have going on in their life. This is something that the woman in your life is going to enjoy you being at a conference like this, because it's almost impossible for you to come back and be the same. You're going to come back happier. You're going to come back more fulfilled. You're going to come back knowing that you just addressed some things that made you a better person, a better man, a better husband, a baby, a better father, a better everything. Because when you really address things like pain and hurt and figure out solutions on how you can really address it and start to get over some things that you have going on in your life, and to be open about what you got going on in your life, you come back better on all of those things, on all of those levels. You just become a better human being. And that's really what it is. We experience pain throughout life. You know, I have a connection to Dallas. And when I was in elementary school, my mother boyfriend moved us to Dallas when I was about 7 years old. And it was probably one of the toughest times of my life, and because he was very abusive. He was very violent, and you know, we moved to Dallas. He's from Detroit, but he moved us to Dallas, and it isolated us away from family. We didn't live there long, so me coming back to Dallas, I've actually began to readdress some things. I haven't been there since when I left there. We fled Dallas.
Oh, wow.
We fled Dallas back to Detroit on a Greyhound bus in the middle of the night.
Oh, Jesus.
So me coming back to Dallas is like, I'm literally keynote speaker at a conference that's talking directly to me.
Jesus. Wow. Look at God.
Absolutely. So, and just to show you, I spent many years, you know, hurt and angry and hating him. And just to show you how God works, I spent many years envisioning myself growing into a man that can one day meet him again. And when I became of age and maturity, and finally did my research and found him, he was a pastor at a church and had changed his entire life.
Wow. Look at God.
So it just shows you the power of God, and how until someone has a period on their life, that you can't judge someone until they have a period on their life. Because I grew up thinking about him a certain way, and God had changed him. You know, so coming back to Dallas is definitely I'm processing. as I'm getting ready to come to Dallas, because it was a lot of experiences. Dallas is, it's the South. It was different than growing up in Detroit, and back in the early '80s when we were living there, Dallas was a different place. We couldn't shop at certain grocery stores. They ran us out of businesses. They wouldn't serve us in certain areas. And this was in the 80s.
Yeah.
And, all of my experiences, my first day of school in Dallas, they kicked me out of school, my first day. And that was early in the day, and they locked me in a closet, a dark closet, for the remainder of the day. I'm a 7-year-old kid. So I have a lot of experience, hurtful experience and pain that's associated with Dallas. So coming back there, not only am I inviting men that I know hurt, that I know have gone through things in life, that I know have experienced pain and still experiencing pain. Not only am I inviting you to the conference, know that I'm coming to the conference, and that's my past. I'm coming back to Dallas. And I come, I lived in Dallas and I experienced those things. So
I had no idea about this. We talked briefly about, some of the things that you're talking about right now, but I did not know that it was to that degree, Dr. Marvin. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not an accident.
Yeah.
That's not, again, this is not an accident. You were revisiting
Let me tell y'all something.
A space.
The way that the Lord does things is amazing. When I reached out to you, a year and a half ago or so, I was reaching out to you because I read your story about being an exoneree. And I thought, I was just randomly looking for guests for my podcast. It took you a whole year. Listen, Joseph, he ignored me for a whole year. He ignored me for a whole year.
Well, I didn't ignore you. I get inundated with a lot of emails and messages, and when I seen it, and I seen that it was over a year later, I seen the message. I was like, wow. I responded to you right then.
Yeah. That's all right. Ever since we got in touch, we've been connected, brother. So you good.
Absolutely. And hopefully other people that have been trying to get in touch with me don't hear you saying this, because they're gonna be like,
no. It's all in love. But no, ever since we have gotten connected, it has been love. But I had no idea, the way that the Lord would do this thing, and that he would be connected to Dallas. And, I told you, Joseph, how when the Lord said to me to ask him about the conference, and I wasn't obedient, and then the Lord told you, and you told me, and so I had to go ahead and do it, and not even knowing about your journey and what you had been through in Dallas, but wow, it was just, wow, this is crazy hearing all this right now. So, the Lord has a way of doing things, and what he will do, what we know for sure, is when he starts a healing process, he will complete it. And so while we're having this conference, Men Hurt Too, it just so happens that he has our keynote speaker finalizing some parts of his healing journey while he's keynoting a healing conference in Dallas. So yeah, it sounds like he's bringing you back to an area that, you're finishing up. No, sir. My son trying me, y'all, while I'm live.
But, he said young men hurt too.
Hey, young men don't hurt too. But yeah, so that is amazing. Wow.
And I think that's something that I want our listeners and potential attendees to understand, is that you're going to, and this is how you know that you're doing a work that is a God work, because every speaker that you're going to get a chance to encounter on that day, you're not there to hear people who are trained to speak per se.
No, this is real.
They're going, yes. Are they going to be well spoken? Yes, but this is not about you coming to a conference where I show you how smart I am. No. This is not about me coming to a conference and me showing you, or bragging to you about all my titles and my degrees and my writings and my this and my that. This is just me allowing me and the other men that are going to be there, allowing God to use us as a vessel to speak to you in the most transparent and raw way that we know how, so that it's not about, again, our titles and our accolades and all of that. It's just about men just breaking it down, just chopping it up, and just being real about real stuff that goes on, sharing a little piece of us with the hopes that, it can somehow be a blessing to you. And that's why, I say when God positions you to do a work, you can't help but be in a situation as the way that Dr. Cotton spoke of, about how, yeah, I'm here to pour into you, but it's like because I'm doing the work that he's having me to do, I'm by default being poured into.
Yeah.
I can't even avoid that. That's what I'm, even when I think about, like, when I do my podcast, I've said this to many guests on the show. Yeah. Thank you for blessing my listeners, but I get blessed every time because they reveal something, they speak to something that, whether I shared that story or that part of my life with them or not, they have no idea that they poured something in me too. And so it's a reciprocal thing. And so that's what you can expect to get out of this type of event, this type of conference. We've been very diligent and intentional of trying to come up with a neutral but yet a relaxing space where you feel like, even though you're not necessarily traveling, well, many who will be there may not necessarily be traveling from out of state, although you can do that too, because we are in a setting that don't feel like that this is just a local event. If you got the gas money to hop in the car, you can afford to jump on the bus or the plane or whatever, you can be a part of this experience too. We're at a nice facility, hotel, reasonable, nice area, all of the things. You can make it a getaway weekend for yourself, a stay. Even if you want to bring, your significant other, say, hey, for a few hours, I'm gonna be away, getting refreshed, getting revived, and then we can connect back up with the family and do our thing for that weekend. So you don't even have to look at it as a singular event. You can make it an experience for the weekend where everybody can benefit from it. Just know that there's going to be a designated part of that opportunity, should you choose to pursue it that way, for those listeners who may be in, out of town and wondering, how can I be a part of this? Yeah, you could be a part of this. You can make it happen. And so I would encourage those. We would love to have you coming in. If Dr. Cotton, as busy as he is, can fit us in this schedule and travel all the way from the Midwest and make his way out here for us to share and to pour into for a few hours, many of you who are way closer can do the exact same thing. Why not treat yourself? Why not? And look at it as a way of treating yourself. Yeah. Because one of the things that we do as men oftentimes is that we don't.
It's really an investment. It's an investment in yourself.
Yes.
Like literally the few dollars that it's going to take you to get to this conference and make it happen. We usually spend on gas money throughout the week.
Right.
But with this, you're going to get things that you can carry with the rest of your life.
That's right.
Gas is only going to take your car so far, but this right here is going to take you throughout your life.
Yeah. I want to say this. When the Lord called me into ministry, he called me into a transparency. He told me to be transparent when I tell my testimony. A lot of people are like, you telling all your business? No, I'm doing what the Lord told me to do. He told me to be transparent because people need to know real stuff. They need to know that the Lord still delivers, heals, and sets people free. And I feel like the reason the Lord told me to be transparent is because a lot of people today, when they minister, they forget to tell what they actually got delivered from. And a lot of people are looking for people to tell, what did you get delivered from? Because people that are struggling with things and are going through things, they need to know that what they're struggling with and what they need deliverance from is still on the list. So if you're just saying, oh, I got delivered and now I'm over here doing, what did you get delivered from? Tell us what you got delivered from. It's easy to say just the delivered part, but when you're struggling and you're bound, people, we need to know. Tell us what he's doing. Tell us what God is doing. What miracles is he working? It's the best thing that you can do if you can be transparent and show people how you got there, the process. Because a lot of times people, there are people who may not go into the four walls. And so if people are not going into the four walls, you may be the only Jesus they see. So you need to be open with them and honest with them about what the process looks like. Then they can look at getting into the four walls. Okay. But we have to, when we come in contact with people who need deliverance, who need salvation, they need a word from the Lord. They need you right there in that moment. They don't need you to be like, okay, well, let me go grab my Bible. No, they need you right then, right then in that moment to tell them, listen, I prayed. I said, Jesus, help me. I was dealing with such and such. And I prayed, and 4 days later, he helped me. And I tell them, you know. And so I think that's really what's important. What Joseph was saying was we have people that are real. We have people that are coming to do real talks about real things that they went through and how they got delivered, whether it was, you know, incarceration, whether it was drugs, selling drugs. You know, I've had people that have talked at different conferences I've had. They were involved in prostitution. They were, involved in all kinds of stuff, real stuff that the devil puts people in for real in real life. And the Lord wants people to be delivered in real life. He still does that. But if we don't talk about it, people stay bound for real. And so, again, I say it all the time. That's the difference between relationship and religion. Religion is just, you just say the delivered word, but you don't talk about what kind of deliverance is. Well, in relationship is where we come in and we give accountability to the Lord because we actually talk to him 24/7, and it's not just inside the walls. We have a relationship outside the walls. And so these conferences, they're not inside the walls generally. They're in a neutral space where you feel free to talk and you are open and you're not judged by whatever you've been struggling with or going through, because the Lord is not religious. He is relational. He is meeting us where we are. And he wants us to be delivered. When he died on the cross for us, he covered us with his blood, and he is giving us salvation. He gave us, not giving us, he gave us salvation if we just accept it. And so we're coming into these spaces trying to make sure that you understand that no matter what you're struggling with, what you're going through, somebody has went through it. Am I right, guys?
Oh, yeah.
And there is hope in the process. Right? Like we talked about earlier, Dr. Marvin's story, Joseph's story, Tim's story, Hilton's story, TC's story. All the people that you're going to hear from at the conference have a story, and they're going to be open and transparent with their stories. And nobody is going to make a judgment call about those stories. We're going to hear those stories. And my prayer is, and I know we're going to set the tone before the conference, the tone is already set. I believe by faith, the tone is already set. That it's going to be a free atmosphere, that the Spirit of the Lord is going to move on the hearts of those men that are going to show up. And I'm going to say women too, because there needs to be some women in the room that don't believe me and hurt. So if you're one of those women that don't believe me and hurt, you might just need to be at the back of the room so that you can understand that men do have feelings, that they do struggle and go through some things. And we're just going to see a change in atmosphere.
And just so men that's watching this that may be on the fence, is coming to the conference doesn't mean you have to participate. You can sit there and just listen. Yeah. No one's going to pull on you. No one's going to ask you anything about yourself, anything personal. You're free to engage and to share with other people that's at the conference if you want to. But if you've never been to a conference before and it sounds intimidating, the word conference may sound intimidating to you. Think of it as you're coming to a classroom where you can sit and just listen and enjoy the speakers, including myself. And I've met some of the other speakers. It's going to be entertaining as well. It's going to be enjoyable. You're going to laugh. There's going to be times where you may cry at some of the things that you hear, or want to cry at some of the things that you hear from the speakers. It's going to be an experience. It's going to be enjoyable. It will be entertaining. However, the investment of this is really going to carry you throughout your life. So if you're on the fence about it, go and climb on the other side of the fence and just come on in. It's going to be the best gift that you can give yourself or that someone else can give you. This is going to be a beautiful thing that you can do for yourself. If you're on the fence about it, just come on over on the other side. If you've never been to a conference before, this would be the perfect first conference for you. If you're someone that invests in yourself throughout the year, I know people, including myself, that I'm always looking for educational stuff. I'm always looking for something new to participate in, to make sure that I'm constantly growing, because I'm a leader. I'm a leader in my home. I'm a leader in the community, and leaders have to continue to grow. If you're interested in being a leader, you have to deal with some things. We have to deal with some things within ourselves before you're qualified or able to begin to lead other people, because you don't want to leave that footprint or that fingerprint of hurt on everything you touch. But when you start to add healing to it, you add the fingerprint of healing to everything you touch, no matter what you've been through.
That's good.
Love that. Love that. And I'm so glad you pointed out the fact that when you attend a conference like this, especially if it's your first time, there's no expectations or demands from you. We are thankful that you're in the room. You sharing, you contributing, you being actively involved in conversations. That's a bonus to the situation, but just your presence alone can be powerful. Men, if you're just looking for a chance to just get out for a few hours, because you don't get a chance to just do that, because you're dealing with the rigmarole of work throughout the course of the week, and and bills and this and that and the other. And I just need a break. I just need to get away for a moment. Do that. Like I said, we're gonna have, you're gonna have men from all walks of life. This is not a stuffed shirt type of event. So when we talk about coming as you are, you come as you are. We ain't got to be all suited and booted. It's a Saturday in July in Dallas. It's gonna be hot, but we're gonna be in an air conditioned space. But it's gonna be hot outside. You want to be relaxed, and we want you to be as comfortable and relaxed as you can be. Share as you are comfortable in sharing. And if your desire is to just sit back and take in what you hear, there's no offense to that. There's no wrong or harm into that. Just let it come to you as you feel like it needs to come to you, and take it all in. And there may be some men who you want to be a part of this event, but maybe just your schedule won't permit you to. An excellent opportunity for you would be to sponsor somebody who can go. You can't go, sponsor them. A $50 ticket is a magnificent blessing that you could bestow on somebody that needs to be a part of this. So if you can't attend, send somebody else. Whether it's a man sponsoring a man, or ladies sponsor that special man. Do that for them. We're in-house. We're doing some sponsoring opportunities. We welcome that. We've already gotten some people who have committed to sponsor, people to come, because we don't want price to be an issue.
That's right.
If you want to be a part of this experience and you're concerned about that, reach out to us. We have people who are willing to sponsor. If you have a genuine need and you want to be here, we'll make it happen, because we don't want anybody to be turned away or saying, "Oh, I can't make it because I don't think I'm gonna have the money." If you need a ride, there may be somebody in the area, somebody that can scoop you up. We're trying to do whatever we can within reason that we can offer to make sure you're a part of the event. That doesn't mean that there aren't costs associated with the event, in any kind of event, and even in ministry. Ministry costs just like anything else, but at the same time, we understand that the ultimate goal is the impact. The ultimate goal is to make sure that we are operating in obedience, as God has placed this vision through Minister Stephanie, through outreaching to us and pulling this whole thing together, just making sure that it is again, an impactful, meaningful, game-changing, life-changing event that, as Dr. Cotton alluded to earlier, that you leave it but not leave it the same way that you walked in. That you return back to your respective homes and your family sees a different man. Not that you've changed overnight and you're no longer the same, but they see that something resonated, even if it was just a few minutes of the hours that you were there. Something somebody said, something somebody spoke on, it just hit you. It hit you in that right moment, in that right time, and now it's giving you a whole new perspective. It maybe is, even if nothing more, it's giving you the courage to talk about something that you had been holding in for a long time that might have been infringing upon relationships that you have right now with the spouse, with your kids, or whatever. That this might be that moment that allows you to finally break open. Because if you understand that when you're talking about that trauma, that darkness, that pain, that suffering, that at some point, I say you may be angry, you may be frustrated about something. There might be some forgiveness inside that needs to be unlocked in you, because you've been holding this poison inside of you, walking around mad for years in some instances, mad about why I had to go through this, why I had to deal with that. And that day, July 19th, could be the day that you've been waiting for to finally release it, finally let that poison up out of your system so you can begin the healing process. So you can begin to get on that pathway of forgiveness, not because you condone what that person did to you, not because you are accepting what happened in that situation, or whether it was when you were a kid or in that bad relationship or whatever, but understanding that the forgiveness is for you. It was never for them to begin with. And it's what's going to be necessary for you to ignite the healing. It's going to be what's necessary to ignite that empowerment. It's going to be what's necessary to ignite that transformation. But we're going to take this moment, the few hours that we have, to try to get to the meat and potatoes of it all, to get to the core of it, to say something, to speak to something that hits every man in that room, meets them where they are. We're not promising that we're going to resolve all the problems of the world in a few hours or anything like that. We're just trying to bring some light to the situation, and again, just to remind you and to let you know that, as the title of the conference says, is that men, not only do men hurt too, but that's nothing to be ashamed of, because you're a human being. We go through stuff. You are of flesh. Sometimes life is going to kick you like that, and it doesn't always feel good, and you feel some kind of way about it. But no matter what you've gone through, no matter what negative experiences have come your way, no matter what challenges that may have come before you, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, that doesn't mean that it's the end of your story. That doesn't mean that just because you went through this experience or that experience and it was traumatizing and negative, that you can't bounce back from that you can't recover from that you can't have a new opportunity on life. You're going to see men that are going to be speaking about how what looked like it should have been the end for them, it should have been the wrap up of their story, how it was just the beginning of what was getting ready to manifest itself. It was just the beginning of how God was going to use that dark moment in life and be a blessing to them, as well as equip them to be a blessing to other people throughout this world in whatever fashion or form that God has navigated for them to do so. So just keep that in mind, and again, just be open. We just want to have a good time, hang out, and chop it up about, like I said, things that men just don't, for a variety of different reasons, don't take the time out, don't invest the time and the energy to just sit down and break it up and into small bite-sized pieces where we can digest it better, that where you can hear some insight from other people, other men who can identify and understand what you're dealing with, and help you to process, help you to think about it in a different way, help you to see it from a different light, so that it doesn't weigh you down, so that it doesn't burden you, so that it doesn't keep you in a stronghold and basically blocking you from being the man that God created you to be, blocking you from being the man or walking the path that God has already preset for you to walk on. He's just waiting for you to take that step to make that move forward. But he also understands that you can't pour from an empty cup. He also understands that until you get some of this stuff up off of you, you can't begin to move forward. But most importantly, for many of us, he has to remind us that nobody expected us to do it by ourselves. You don't have to carry the weight alone. God can provide men around you, even men that you might be meeting for the very first time on that day. he can connect you to men that can be that very support, that can be that encouraging word to you, that can be that nucleus that gets you started, kick-started in the right direction, so that you don't feel like, I'm by myself. I don't have anybody to turn to. I don't have anybody to talk to about it. You're going to get that on that Saturday morning. You're going to get it. And from men who genuinely and authentically want to be there for other men. So again, we welcome you. We look forward to it. We're excited about it. And while we have a format of how things are going to go, we also understand that, particularly when God is in a space and it's about doing his work, that whole outline, that whole schedule could get flipped upside down and we go in a different direction just by the movement in the room as to what's going on and how brothers are connected. And we're prepared to pivot as we need to. Yeah. We're gonna stay on. We're gonna stay on program. Yeah. We're gonna be obedient in terms of being respectful of your time, and so we're gonna start on time. We're gonna adhere to schedule, but we're also going to allow ourselves to be flexible and open to whatever God sees fit to move in that space amongst us. Cool. And if it calls for a conversation, that we didn't originally plan to have, we're gonna have that conversation. If it calls for a pause for us to pray over somebody, we'll take that opportunity. If it calls for a moment to just hug it out, we'll do that. Like I said, as Dr. Cotton talked about earlier, we're not saying this is getting ready to be the crybaby event of the year or anything like that, but but we're not capping the list of emotions that will happen. We're not limiting the list of emotions, but at the same time, whatever happens. So if a brother cries, then a brother cries, and we're gonna love on him. If a brother wants to just yell in the air because he needed to get that frustration out, we're going to let him yell. If that brother needs somebody to just speak a word into him, then we're going to speak that word. And whatever it takes, we're going to do within our power what we're equipped to do, to be of support, to be of encouragement to him. That's what we're going to do in that moment. So,
and anytime you have an opportunity to be in a room where other men have come or other people have come to make themselves better. If you get an opportunity to be in a room like that, that's the room you want to network in. Mm-hmm. So if you're a businessman that have had a tough life and have grown into a success, but you still have some things that you want to unpack, this is the room for you. If you're a struggling businessman that's looking for a mentor, you may find your mentor at this event. That can help you get to the next level. While both of y'all get to the next level where y'all need to be emotionally and mentally and spiritually, maybe you find that person, that connection, that relationship in there that can help you get to the next level. You always want to take an opportunity to network in a room like this. This room right here, there's going to be men from every walk of life that have had experiences that you don't have to hit your head on. If you get the right mentor in your life, they can help you jump over hurdles to where you don't have to hit your head on what they already hit their head for. They already carried the cross. All you got to do is walk up there to where the cross at. Now they already carried it up there for you. So you always want to, when something like this is going on, you show up. Yeah. Your blessing is, we're telling you what the blessing is going to be. But you may have a personal blessing in that room that we don't know nothing of, but you have to show up in order to get it, because you're going to recognize it when you see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want to say a couple of things about the committee that is working behind the scenes. I may be the visionary, but this would not happen without the team. And I want to let you guys know that the team that I have working behind the scenes. So there's two teams at work here. There's my ministry board, which is the Healing, Empowerment, Transformation, Diamonds in the Rough nonprofit organization that I have. And Joseph happens to be the vice president of the board. And so I want to thank you, Joseph, for being the vice president. We also have our secretary, which is Amaya Carter. And then we also have on the Healing, Empowerment, Transformation part, we're actually a 3-member part on that board. And then on the Rho Alpha Tau, which is our Greek letter organization, those are both collaborative groups. I am the president, so I'm the CEO and founder of the nonprofit. And the collaboration between the two organizations are what put on all of our ministry organizations. So I'm the president of Rho Alpha Tau, and we used to be called an East Texas chapter. We are now called the DFW chapter. And so I am the president of that chapter. And then Joseph is our vice president of that chapter as well. Shayna Westbrook is our chapter administrative assistant. And then we have Charity, which Anderson, which is our membership director. And we make up the Rho Alpha Tau organization. So when you see us doing all of these big ministry events, know that you may see it on my podcast. You may see me talking about it, but just know that it's not just me. I may be the head leader of it, but I have a whole team of people that are working with me to help me make these things happen. And so I definitely want to give a shout out to my whole team, my board, as well as my Rho Alpha Tau organization, my sisters and brothers. So thank you. I want to give a shout out to you guys because they put up with my messages, my texts. I'm a 24-hour workaholic a little bit. I'm always shooting out messages. I'm talking to the Lord 24/7, and I might just get up and start messaging, and Joseph be like, "Girl, go to sleep." I just start messaging the Lord. I think the Lord wants us to do this. And they'll shoot back, "Okay, sis, good night." So I want it to be known that I have some amazing people that are entrusting the God in me to make these amazing things happen. It's not just me, but I don't take that lightly that they trust me and they trust, the call that's on my life enough to work with me and to help make these things happen. And so Joseph he just politely, kindly accepted the call to head up our men's conference, and he's doing it just gladly with passion. And I'm so grateful and thankful that he's being able to do this the way that he's doing it. And the men have just fallen in place and are working with him in such a great way. And I'm just excited about what the Lord is doing with the conference and with Joseph and blossoming. We've had so many men come to the ministry that have wanted mentorship, and they have been coming, and we're like, "Joseph, we got another one." And so listen, there's so many opportunities coming to this men's conference. Like Dr. Marvin just said, if you need a mentor, I'm not talking about just in the Dallas area. I'm talking about there will be men that will be coming to the conference from all over. You just don't know, So, and I talked to a gentleman today about mentorship for my son, and people say, "Well, you can't get mentorship from somebody out of the state." Yes, you can. You can get virtual mentorship. All you got to do is get in front of that link and have your conversation. Somebody can pour into you. You don't have to you don't have to physically go, there's so much technology these days. Joseph can be your mentor. Dr. Marvin can be your mentor. All you need to do is click on a link and have a man-to-man conversation about what you're dealing with, what you got going on. But you got to show up in the room and be able to have a conversation and figure out which man you think is a better connection or can understand your story better. So there are so many things that can happen by just being in the room. I'm telling you, you got to get in the room. I want to talk a little bit about the amenities of why we changed the location of the conference. So originally we were going to have the conference at a church in the Dallas area, and we had the opportunity to switch it to a hotel. The hotel facility is offering us a lot of amenities, and wow, let me tell you. So we switched it to is it Home to Home Hotel in what area is that in, Joseph?
It's in Fairview.
Fairview, Texas. in the Fairview area. Amazing hotel, amazing area, shopping area, lots of additional parking. We are going to be able to use the facility to the max. Not only do they have amazing hotel rooms, but we're going to have on the morning of the conference, for all of the guests for the conference that arrive early, we will have free breakfast at no additional cost. We will meet in the lobby of the hotel for our meet and greet. Once we get there for the meet and greet with the free breakfast, then we will move into the conference room. Once we get into the conference room and kind of go through whatever we have planned there in the conference room, we will at a different point have breakout sessions. We will actually go to a different area where they have a courtyard where we will actually have spoken word, and we'll have it in a courtyard area that is amazing. It's an open area with the lights. And I mean, if you've been to any type of spoken word event, you know, it's generally like lights and just outdoorsy, and it's beautiful. And so they've given us the ability to use that area as well. So they've afforded us 3-4 different areas that we're able to use for the conference. There was no way to turn down that opportunity. So we are excited about this partnership. They've thrown in some amenities with the breakfast, unlimited free bottled water. They just were like, have your conference here pretty much. And so we're excited about this new relationship with the hotel as well. Again, if you have not registered, you need to get registered. Make sure that you register on Eventbrite for Men Hurt Too. There are a couple of vendor spaces left. We are specifically requesting men-owned businesses to register for the conference. Okay, ladies, I love y'all. I love y'all. But we have men that are going to be at the conference, and I'm sure they want to buy men-centered products. So I will have some other conferences where you guys can register to be vendors. But let these spots please be filled by men-owned businesses, okay? So that they can be shopped specifically, okay? Those are the amenities for the hotel. What else, you guys? I'm trying to think of all the details. Again, a lot of parking. If you come early, like I said, there's lots of restaurants around. You literally can park your car and walk to all the different restaurants. Once you listen, I'm going to stay at that hotel. I'm going to park my car. I'm going to go to all the restaurants and all the places, and I'm not going to do too much driving, which I don't really like driving short distances. I don't mind driving long distances, but short distances, I don't like it. So I'm really excited about parking my car and just not driving for a couple days.
Well, to your point, for those who are not familiar with the area, Fairview, Texas, Fairview is basically borders Allen, Texas. Okay. And so for those, this is on the north side of town in the DFW. As she stated, not only is the hotel itself a nice spot, but the immediate surrounding area is very nice. You literally, like she said, you're literally within walking distance of restaurants, shopping. You're right off you're right off the interstate. So on the opposite side of the interstate is where you have the Allen Outlet Mall, which is basically one of the largest malls here in the DFW area. It stays packed, all types of stores of all various sizes. So if you were a shopper, again, and this is what I was saying to your men, you could be a part of this experience and everything, but you could also make it a weekend thing if you want to bring the family. Even if you live in the area, you can make it a staycation type of situation, especially if you don't live on that side of town. Come on over on this side of town, enjoy the atmosphere. It's going to be, again, we're talking about in July, summertime. A lot of times they have outside concert events in the area, and many of those are free. So it's a lot of stuff, and it's whether it's for adults as well as children. So you have an opportunity to have your time, your personal time as a man at the event. But again, if there's a concern, or you just want to do something nice for the family and make it a family opportunity, again, family, give me a few hours away so I can hang out with the brothers. But we can also make this a family type of event. And this is why I was saying earlier, even if you are not from the immediate DFW area, again, this would be one of those scenarios where it may be worth you taking into consideration and make it an inexpensive kind of travel event, because we don't always have thousands and thousands of dollars to go out of town. But maybe this is something, a compromise in between, where you can do something fun, invest in that special man in your life, but also, again, just make it a family affair for the weekend, and just have a really nice time here in the area, and just do your thing, whatever it is that you like to do. There's plenty of it out there during that time. And, so again, if you're not familiar with the area, this will be you'll definitely like, being over on this side of town, and again, the amenities and the niceness of it all. And as Stephanie stated, with the way that the hotel is laid out, it's just the right size to where it's, it has an intimate element to it. So that's why we're able to, kind of take our conference and pivot it wherever we're going, wherever we need to go to, to take full advantage of the overall time that we're there. And like she said, if you get there early, you're going to have an opportunity to partake in some free breakfast. But that's not all. But we're also going to have lunch too. So even if you miss breakfast,
lunch and door prizes. I forgot.
We are going to have lunch, and we're going to eat. We're gonna have some man plates.
A real lunch.
It's not like a real lunch. You ain't gonna have little snacky sandwiches. We're gonna man plate for real, like and so my wife has been gracious enough to help out with the preparing of the meal. And I'm just gonna put it out there. She can cook, so it's gonna taste good. You won't be disappointed. And I'm trying to see if I can get a couple of extras, a little something of some people who want to contribute something, whether it's a dessert or something like that, to throw in. So brothers, we like to eat, and we're gonna make sure you fed. So you ain't got to trip about that. So it's gonna be worth your while. And like I said, we're just having fun, man. It's just think about it as just a informal kind of party, if you will, however you want to fellowship, just kicking it, hanging out, just enjoying one another, doing what we don't do enough of. And just use this as a chance to truly exercise self-care, not as the world exercises self-care. And I'm gonna speak to that throughout the conference, but understanding self-care from a godly perspective, where you really get deep into understanding what's necessary for you to do on the inside, so that you can serve in the God-given roles that God has positioned us to do, whether it's the role of the father, the role of the husband, the role of the that mentor, that big brother, or if you're in ministry, that the role in, whatever role you serve in that capacity. Is there something for everybody? That's the bottom line. Something for everybody, old and young. Now, we don't want to go, to be honest with you, we're not necessarily saying, bring small children, but if you got a young man that's in his teens, I think this would be appropriate, 16, 17-year-old young man, bring him. He can benefit from this.
I think so that
space is that space is good for that. We're not. No, you probably don't want to bring your little 5-year-old kid or anything like that, because we are going to get into some topics that may not be suitable for young children. But a young teen brother, early age, that don't feel like this is just an old man event. Don't feel like you got to be 40 and up to be relatable and understand, because the truth of the matter is that there's a lot of young men who who've never had the opportunity to be in a space of older men who are, who have gone through the challenges of life and understand what it's going to take to be successful in this world. Not just financially, but to really truly operate in the role of the godly man that he created us to be. And they need to see men like you. Men like me, they need to see that, because they may have grown up like many of us did, without our dads in the home. They're looking for that mentor. Stephanie alluded earlier about a young man who he won't be able to attend the event because he has to work. But she recently connected me with him, and this young man, he's had a challenging life early on, but he's married. He's got a child on the way, and the brother's scared. I mean, he told me, Joe, I'm nervous. I'm about to be a dad. Now, thankfully, he's married. Thankfully, he's wanting to be an active participant in, he knows it's going to be a son. He wants to be an active participant in his son's life. We applaud that. We love that. But that brother was scared, and he just needed He needed a moment of my time. We literally chatted it up for about 15, 20 minutes. And he was so thankful, so appreciative of I just needed somebody to tell me that it was going, and I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Give me some nuggets of wisdom, not to not worry about being perfect. Understanding I'm gonna make some mistakes, but that as long as I let God lead the way, give me the wisdom, give me the words to say to my son, teach him how to be the man he needs to be, not make him feel ashamed when he's hurting.
Yeah.
We talked about that, not making him feel like, he's soft if he's feeling pain, but teaching him that, hey, challenges in life are going to come, but there's a proper way to process through it. And don't feel like you can't talk to me and you can't be vulnerable and you can't let it out. We had that conversation. He asked me, what should his role be as a father? What should his wife's role be as a mother in the raising of their son? So we talked about, while she definitely has a role, obviously as his mom and as a parent, but she also has to allow you that space to be dad. You have to understand where your lanes are. Mom does the mom stuff when it comes to the raising that son, and then there's some things that dad needs to talk to the son about. It doesn't mean that one is more important than the other. It's about identifying and understanding what our roles are and making sure that collectively we pour into him the way he needs to be poured into, so that as he grows up and ultimately becomes that young man himself, he's been properly fed, and he's been fed from the right perspective, from the right place. So again, Stephanie spoke about this earlier. You being there, you just have no idea, just your presence, how your presence can be felt on somebody else, whether you might have walked in that, you may walk in that space not even intending to be a blessing to somebody, not even intending to be pouring into somebody, but you were there in that right moment in time, and you connected with, it may just be one other brother in the room that needed to speak to you on that day, just for a few minutes of your time, and it could be life-changing and game-changing for both of you. You just don't know.
Yeah.
So be in the space, let the presence of the moment have its way, and again, and don't put a limit on what can possibly happen, the transformation that could possibly take place. You just don't know. But I can guarantee you one thing: you can't experience if you don't actually partake. If you're not there, like they say when you talk about the lottery, you ain't got to worry about if you're gonna win the lottery. If you don't play, you ain't gonna win. Well, if you don't invest, as Dr. Cotton said, if I don't take the time to invest in me, we invest in all kind of stuff, and oftentimes, if we're being honest, a lot of it is a wasted investment of our time, of our money, of our resources. Why can't you take out this moment to love yourself enough, or to love on somebody enough to put them in this position to be able to not only be blessed, but to possibly equip them to be a blessing to other people? And specifically in this case, men blessing men, pouring into men, being supportive, being encouragement, being uplifting, being a positive example, being transparent, being vulnerable, not acting like we got it all figured out and we know all the answers, but understanding that, hey, we hurt too. It gets rough sometimes, but we can be okay. We can overcome those challenges. But we just got to stop playing this role about we got to do it all by ourselves. We got to be the tough guy all the time. That's there's a place to be tough. There's a moment to be strong, but there's also places where sometimes you just got to be real and say, you know what? I'm not myself right now. And that's okay. I'm not in a good space right now. Right. And that's okay. It doesn't make me less of a man because I'm having a bad day. Right. It doesn't make me less of a man because I'm going through a tough time right now. Stephanie, you talked about at the top of the show about having gone through divorces. Well, guess what? There's a lot of men who have gone through some divorces too, and they are hurting. Yeah. They putting on the game face, but that divorce devastated them.
Yeah. There's a lot of men going through miscarriages. And carry that. Mm-hmm. And although we didn't carry the child, we carry the trauma from the experience. So men hurt too. Yeah, is what we're saying. So when experiences happen to women, we almost always, and we give attention to it because we've been trained to give attention to it, and rightfully so. But we've been trained against giving attention to when men hurt. And we really want to change that narrative so that we can make sure that we're doctoring on ourselves properly so that we can be better selves for our family, for our community, and of course for ourselves. But men hurt too.
Yeah. I heard, I was at a event, it may have been about 3-4 months ago, what you just said. It was a man talking about how he hurt from abortions. And he was talking about it from the perspective of he had to ask for forgiveness from the Lord for all of the abortions that he had caused women to have. And it was a silent room when he said that, because I don't think I had ever in my life heard a man say that he was sorry for all of the reckless pregnancies he had caused. This is what he said, that he was sorry for all the reckless pregnancies that he had caused and had those women to commit abortions. And he had went through a journey of healing and made phone calls to all those women and apologized to help them on their healing journey, but also to help him on his journey as well. And even though it's in a different vein, what you just said, still men go through part of that abortion cycle. But even in that miscarriage, when a woman has a miscarriage, it doesn't just affect the woman as well. It affects the man as well. And a lot of times we don't think about that. And so what you just said was very profound. And it's something to talk about and to even address. I hope that you will even bring that up for those men in the room that have dealt with that and didn't get to voice how they felt in that moment.
Yeah, or men that have didn't want to go through the abortion process, but
didn't have a choice
to do so. Didn't have a choice, and begrudgingly went along with it. Begrudgingly paid for something that they did not want to experience, feeling the grief and the loss of the possibility. But and still went along with it. Like, this is what I'm supposed to do. I got to be responsible. I got to support, but I'm still hurt. And we're never addressing it. We're never talking about it. We're just going along with the process because that's what men do. We don't talk about it. We keep a straight face and we push forward. We can't show no weakness. The world is going to beat us down. The woman in my life is going to beat me down if I'm weak. So keep a straight face and move forward. And we've been trained to do that. And honestly, we do it very well to our own detriment.
Mm-hmm. That's sad, but it's so true. Listen, guys, we have had an amazing conversation tonight. This has been therapeutic, just a very therapeutic conversation. I know we were focusing on the conference, but just as a whole, it's been a very therapeutic conversation tonight. As we come to a close, I want you guys to both think about your closing statement tonight. For the guy that says, one last final thought, why should I come to the conference? I want you to just give me that one last sentence on the guy that says, why should I come to the conference? For those of you that are watching, we have spent the last hour and a half talking about the Men Hurt Too conference. We have talked about the fact that it is not just for men, but it is also for women to make an investment in the man that is in your life, whether it's your husband, your father, your brother, your whoever. If you want to see them find purpose in their life, to be healed with Father's Day coming up, this would make an amazing gift. So you can go to Eventbrite, Men Hurt Too. In the comment section is the link. I have added the link for the conference. You can click on that link and purchase a ticket or several tickets. You can also look in that link. There are vendor spaces available for men-owned businesses to vendor at the event. We are going to have our last closing remarks. We will have Dr. Marvin, if you will give your closing remark, and then Joseph, you will follow up. What would be your closing final remark on why a man should attend the conference?
Right now is the time. We're actually this month is really awareness for mental health with men. And we have to have a mental health month because men go through things that are usually buried and ignored. And this is what this conference is about. It's about really resurrecting the things that society has buried. And we have to give life to ourselves, give life to the things that we've gone through so that we can be better, better men for ourselves, better men for our family, better men for our communities. That's the only way that we can really have the type of impact that's going to change things. People say all the time, and I hate hearing it, they say, ain't nothing going to change. And I don't believe that at all. I believe that every time someone says that, they're putting themselves in a position to be opposition for change.
Right.
This is an opportunity to change what we see in the world by first putting ourselves in the best position to be our best selves. The more men and women, but the more men, because I'm speaking directly to the men, the more men to put themselves in a better position for themselves and in life, you literally make the world better. Right. You literally make the world better. This conference isn't about you taking a whole lot of responsibility on your shoulders. It's really just taking the responsibility of yourself on your shoulders. Come to the conference so that you can learn some things, hear some stories, some inspiring stories that can potentially be a blueprint for you. Yeah. And in life, so that you can be inspired to really be the best self that you can be. If you've ever experienced any type of pain or hurt, or even had a moment in the last few months where you had to kind of like stop yourself from going overboard with a situation, if you had to just like right now is not the time, leave me alone, this conference is for you. This conference is for you. And I know you've had those days, because those days are pretty common in this world nowadays. So if you're having those type of moments, if you have some things that you've never addressed in your life, come hear the stories from the speakers that will be speaking, because we have a roadmap for you. We have something that can help you. Thank you. I look forward to meeting you. I look forward to seeing you. I look forward to speak life into you, and I look forward to hearing your stories if you want to share, and just networking and keep in contact with you.
I would just say, you need to come to this conference because it's answering the question of, if not now, then when? If not now, when do you men? Because we're all in some fashion or form guilty of this. When do you love yourself enough? Value yourself enough? Identify your worth enough to where you carve out time for you to become a better version of who you are. We carve out time for all kind of things as men, our jobs, whether we're sitting back socializing, watching TV, or we can find time to do everything else. But the one area that we typically don't find the time to do is to care for self. And, my stepdad used to refer to this, a saying is, his saying was healthy. There's a healthy selfishness that you need to practice. There has to be a moment in time as men where it needs to be about you, not because you don't care or are concerned about other people, but again, how can I be equipped to pour into my marriage, to pour into being a father, to pour into being a good brother, to pour into being whatever it is that I'm supposed to be as a man? How can I do that effectively if I don't take the time to refresh, to replenish, to restore, tomorrow is not promised to you. And what we're presenting here is an opportunity in our own way, as we're led to do with the resources that we have, to just take time out to say that you matter, that you're important. And we want to take a moment that if you didn't know, if nobody's ever told you, that this is going to be the day that you're going to hear it, whether it's the first time that you heard it or it's been a long time since you've heard it. That's what we want to make happen for you on this day. You need to be there. You need to be a part of this experience. We look forward to meeting with you, coming alongside you, encouraging you, uplifting you. You don't have to do the journey of being a man, living life as a man and taking on the roles and responsibilities that come with being a man. You don't have to do that by yourself. And we want to remind you of that. And we want to, as stated earlier, we want to give you the blueprint that this is something that's possible, it's doable, it's practical, and it's applicable to us all. So we want to see you in the building. We want to see you present. We want to see you encourage others to be a part of this. And if you can't be there, we would, if it's on your heart to do so, we would love to see you bless somebody else to be able to attend. Nobody is going to be disappointed. Nobody's going to be lacking or missing out in being in that space. Everybody's going to get something out of it. And we would just love to see you there. We'd love to pack the place out and just allow something magnificent and wonderful to happen as God would see fit for us to realize in that space. So
thank you guys so much. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Okay. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. I really appreciate y'all. We're gonna have an amazing time. I just know we are. This broadcast will run again. And I'm just excited about the conference myself. I know it's going to be an amazing conference. So we're going to continue to be in prayer. I will see you guys. I think we have a prayer next week or so scheduled. And so we're covering the prayer and the conference in prayer. We have a joint prayer that's coming up, I think, on next week. We'll have to check the calendar. But you guys have an amazing night. For all of you that have tuned in, whenever you're watching this video, it is not too late to register. Again, the links are in the comment section. So make sure to go ahead and register for the conference. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will see you again on Tuesday of next week for another episode of the Stephanie M. Seaton Sunday Show. Thank you guys so much. Y'all have a good night.
You do the same.
Men Hurt 2 Conference, Saturday, July 19th, 10:30 a.m. Home 2 Suites by Hilton Fairview Allen, 290 Murray Farm Road, Fairview, Texas. Come share in this safe space experience for men. Guest speakers, host Joseph B. Roberts, Open Young, T.C. Alexander Jr., keynote speaker Dr. Marvin Cotton Jr., Visionary. Minister Stephanie M. Seaton. Tickets on Eventbrite. Vendor space available for men-owned businesses.
My brothers, it is your boy Joseph Roberts here, and I am inviting you to join me at the Men Hurt 2 Conference being held here in Dallas on July 19th, 2025. We got an awesome lineup of speakers. There's going to be food, there's going to be music, there's going to be door prizes, just a host of activities that are going on exclusively designed and set up just for the men. We don't oftentimes have these safe spaces for us to chop it up and fellowship with one another. But on that day, July 19th here in Dallas, we are going to be doing just that. And to any ladies that are tuning in right now to this video, if you got some special men in your life, whether it's your husband, your son, your brother, your nephew, your grandson, I don't care who he is. If you know that he needs to be a part of something like this, get him registered too. Simply go to Eventbrite today to get yourself registered and get your ticket. Give somebody a ticket. We look forward to seeing you.
This year, on July 19th, 2025, there's an all-men conference where men can come and find exactly what they need in order to heal and position themselves to get the very best out of their lives. If you're ready for change, if you've gone through something or going through something, this conference is for you.